This show has been brought to you by Smith's Detection and the National Air Traffic Controllers Association.
My voice is the voice that guides you home safely each and every day.
24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
I am the voice of the safest and most efficient airspace in the world.
I have to be 100% of the time.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a professional air traffic controller.
Thank you for tuning in. My guest today, making her television debut at AAAE, is Deputy Associate Administrator for Airports, Winsome Lenfert. Hi, Winsome.
Hello.
Welcome to AAAE. Thanks for being here.
I'm very excited to be here, Melissa.
So there's been a lot of changes in your office. I think everybody pretty much knows Eddie Angelis had to leave because he was an Obama administration appointee. Mm-hmm. Ben De Leon just retired, and so you are in charge.
Yes.
Give us a little bit about your background and tell us who you are.
Okay. Well, I actually went to school to be an airline pilot. I went to Indiana State University, where I majored in aerospace administration and professional pilot technology. After graduation, I went to work for the Indiana Department of Transportation Aeronautics Division. I was an airport inspector, and I flew state aircraft. It didn't take me long to realize I fell in love with public service, and I really enjoyed influencing aviation safety. So it only seemed natural that I would get my master's in public administration from Indiana University, and I would start working for the FAA. I became an airport inspector in Great Lakes region, and then from there I feel like I really just grew up in the Office of Airports and on airports. I was a community planner, I was a safety specialist in Washington, and my most recent position was the director for Southern Region Office of Airports. And now I'm ready for my new challenge as Deputy Associate and very excited to be here.
Well, we're very lucky to have you with us in Washington. How's Washington treating you so far?
It's been great. I've lived here before. We really are familiar with a lot of the area, and it's just a fun city to enjoy, and so very excited to be here.
And so you're here taking the reins at a very interesting time during a presidential transition. Mm-hmm. How does that affect you and your team in the Office of Airports?
Well, you know, we've been through transitions before, and so like with any transition, we're really just getting to know the new administration, letting them know a little bit about what we do, what's important to the Office of Airports and the safety of airports, and understanding their priorities and working together. But you know, regardless, the FAA is going to continue to maintain the safest and most efficient aviation system in the world.
Now, how will the President's moratorium on rulemakings affect some things you've been working on? I mean, this happens with every administration. They kind of put the brakes on rulemakings till they get their sea legs. I mean, how will that affect things like the SMS SNPRM, for example? Okay,
the supplemental proposed rulemaking and the SMS safety management system, we're actually continuing to work on it. Right now we're doing a resolution of comments, going through and responding and putting that together. We're also sitting down with the administration to better understand what the executive order entails, and then within the Office of Airports and the Secretary of Transportation working to prioritize our rulemaking process. If you're interested in knowing the status of any of our rulemakings, you can always go to the DOT website and look up our rulemaking status.
Great, we'll put that information up on the website for our members.
Great, thanks.
Now, one of the things people are going to be asking you when you come to our conferences, I'm sure they already have, is did you bring your checkbook? The AIP program, obviously very important to our members. What can you tell us about the flow of money this year, especially when we are in a transition with Congress and have a lot of things going on the Hill and reauthorization still not final?
Absolutely, everybody is always looking for the money. Mm-hmm. As we know, the authorization was actually extended to September 30th, 2017, so this September. We understand that Congress is very active in putting together a new authorization, and we're excited to see what that looks like. We're also doing a lot of work internally on what those scenarios would look like. But it always takes two pieces to get the money flowing, and as we know, it takes also the appropriations, which we're currently under a CR, a continuing resolution, through April 28th. And so we're really hoping we get a full year continuing resolution. If not, we'll see another extension. But what that really means is, as far as available money, We have a portion of entitlements available, or 55%, and then we have a small portion of our discretionary. So it looks like right now we'll be able to fund our letters of intent, or LOIs, and some of our high safety projects. Really what we ask airport operators to do is just to be flexible and be ready as they put together their bid documentation. And so once the money becomes available, they're in the best position to take those grants.
Yes, thank you, very good. So what else is going on in your office? And you have a lot of advisor circulars you've been working on for a while, and orders and things are being updated. Give us the debrief on that.
Okay. We are busy, I have to say. You know, the business of safety and aviation and doesn't stop. And so right now, I'd like to say we've got probably 10, 15, 20 different things in the works, but I'd like to highlight just a few of them. One is a change in our airfield condition assessment and winter operations advisory circular. This is based on some feedback that we received from our TALPA implementation, and it's basically talking about how to report improving runway conditions in an airport. So we're looking to get that out any day. There's a community involvement advisory circular that we're getting ready to issue. I'm so excited about that. As a community planner, I really wish I had an AC like this when I was doing it, because the community involvement piece is so very important with airport projects today. Obviously PFCs, we're working on a couple of things with PFCs. One, we had the PFC rail access policy. We put out the Federal Register notice. So right now we're still working to resolve comments we received on that Federal Register notice. And the other part is our PFC order. And we actually heard loud and clear all of our airport sponsors, as well as AAAE, ACI, and A4A. And we're kind of taking a step back. And later this year, we hope to resume a partnership working with all of our stakeholders to better understand how to move forward with that order.
Right.
And then I think last, I would like to highlight our NEPA orders. Environmental Protection Act orders. So we have the 5050.4B, which is basically talks about how to implement NEPA on airports. That order we are updating based on changes in 1050, which is the overall aviation policy implementation of NEPA. And I think the best part of this update is it really gives you some more clarification on CADXs, and I think these CADX criteria will go a long way in order to assist in non-aeronautical development, which I know is a big issue for a lot of airport sponsors.
Thank you. You mentioned the runway condition reporting requirements. Could you talk a little bit about some of the things we were working on last year regarding runway safety, including TALPA and the RCAM, as well as the runway incursions, the RIM program?
Okay. Yeah, our takeoff and landing performance assessment, or TALPA, and then a piece of that is the runway condition assessment matrix, or the RCAM. So I'm very excited about this program. It was really a new way of looking at how to report contaminated runways. And this is our first year of implementation, and really we've received a lot of positive feedback on this particular advisory circular and process. We did a lot of upfront training and involvement before this was issued. We did have some feedback, of which, like I said, we're putting together in a new AC update. And then at the end of the winter season, we really plan to do a hot wash, working with our sponsors and kind of going through figuring out where we need to improve and what worked the best. So very excited about that program. And also the RIM program, another one. As you know, safety is some of my passion. So the Runway Incursion Mitigation Program is a great program. Last year we started 40 new RIM projects, and this year we look to initiate another 20. And what I love about this program is it really takes a bottom to top, top to bottom look at safety on airports. It uses a lot of data, a lot of historical analysis, and it brings all partners together in the industry, from our air traffic, our airport sponsors, the Office of Airports, and the users, to identify those areas where we can use risk-based mitigation. And so with that, I look forward to continue that work. And don't get me wrong, because we've always had a focus on runway incursions. but we through our runway safety action teams and also for our runway safety programs. But I think this is really taking the best of all worlds to get those important decisions and get resolution to some of those areas.
Yes, I'd like to compliment your staff in the Office of Safety and Standards who's been working with AAAE and our member airports on those two issues. They've been great help.
Thanks.
Two other hot topics for airports, which are kind of new, UAS and then commercial space. A lot of issues associated with airports in these two industries. Innovative, hot, sexy industries, but there are a lot of safety and operational implications.
Yes.
So how are you working with other lines of business within the FAA who are dealing with those two subjects?
Well, we are working with all lines of business in the FAA staff offices. We're also working across our own organization with our airport compliance, airport planning and programming, safety and standards, and our field, where actually a lot of these pieces will be implemented and where they really know best the type of operations that are going on. And we're also working across other governmental agencies. There's a lot of involvement in Department of Defense and Homeland Security, and we're really approaching this from a collaborative perspective with within the government as well as state, local government, federal government, and the private industry. And so we understand that both of these technologies, commercial space and UASs, presents a lot of innovation and a lot of opportunities for the aviation industry, and we're really excited about that. But we also understand that we have to maintain the safety, efficiency, and utility of our airports. And so trying to find that balance, we're all working together. And we also know that there's other issues that we have to, or challenges we have to address. And those include security, cybersecurity requirements, and then jurisdiction. How do the state, local, and federal laws react or interplay with each other? So, a lot of it's going to be working together, that collaboration to see how all this works out.
Right. I can't let you go without asking about what your own personal goals are for your new position in the Office of Airports.
Okay. As I've said, and you've probably heard a consistent message through this, is safety, that consistency of our safety program and that continued consistency of our safety. I really have passion about that, and so I know we have great opportunities through the compliance philosophy and also using our data to provide a more consistent and industry-wide safety, and so look forward to continuing that. I say the second thing is airports of the future. As you just mentioned, the great opportunities that we have for new entrants in commercial space and UASs. But not just that, our airports are changing as well. We're looking at new capacity needs. We're no longer, we're still building some runways out there, but we're seeing that capacity shift on the airfield as we implement next gen. We have to look at how our taxiways interoperate. We have to look at our aprons, and then we have to look at our terminals and how were we able to work with our airports in order to accommodate those new capacity needs. And then lastly is financial. The financial models of our airports are changing, and there's a lot of interest, I know, in non-aeronautical revenue and how to maintain self-sustaining airports. So all of those require us to be grounded in our fundamental values, but remain flexible. And then lastly, I would say our people. And I wouldn't say lastly, I would just say our people, because we couldn't do the great things that we do today without the Office of Airports and our staff. So providing them the training, the tools, and the resources and education they need in order to provide assistance to our airport sponsors. I think those are my three most focused areas right now.
Yeah, great goals, very forward-leaning.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for the work of your team. You have great staff, and we enjoy a very collaborative working relationship with your team. And love having you here in Washington with us now, and look forward to doing even more.
Yeah.
So what can we do to help you? And what can our airport members and AAAE do to help you in your new role?
Well, I think it's communication and collaboration. Those are the two biggest things, and I know we say that all the time, but I think our relationship with airports and the industry is really top-notch in those particular areas, and I'd like to see that continued. Working with our airport district offices in our regions, I said that is the best part, is to work with them on planning. Looking at what your airport's needs are for the next 3 years, 5 years, 20 years even. I think a lot of it is coming down to having that understanding with our employees, which allows them to see the vision of the airport and help the airport sponsors. And then with that communication, it kind of leads into everything else. So when you get to the environmental piece, if you have good solid planning, and then if you get into the bidding and the project and the acceptance of grants, all of that comes much easier, and we all are working from the same page and understanding what the true needs are. And with that communication, anytime, I love partnering with AAAE and the airport industry, so anything I can do to help, I'm always willing to jump in there and listen and help with what we need to help with.
Great, thank you. And we appreciate all the travel that you and your team do as well to our conferences. Now, we could sit here all day and talk about all kinds of other things, but we'll look forward to having you back many more times here in the studio. Before we sign off, is there anything that we've missed that you'd like to add?
Yes, I'd just like to thank you for having me today, and also to thank AAAE for all the great work you've done in the industry, all the education opportunities you provide, and as we talked about how the industry is moving forward, all the great work that you've done on the Drone Advisory Committee and also with the UAS Coalition, really forward-thinking and helping us navigate through this new industry. So thank you again, and appreciate the time.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for watching. I'm Melissa Sabatine. We'll see you next time on One on One.